Looks like meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Okay. You got a notification?
Yep.
Cool, cool. All right. So I'm going to have my phone out just in case people ask any questions on there.
Okay.
Like that we
Sounds
can,
good.
I can ask them live. So awesome. Thank you, Kyle, for taking from your time to do this interview, and for me to get to know you more, and for the different followers on my page to get to know you and hear your story. I think we met a year and a half ago.
Yeah, probably. What was it, at the was it a Reading meetup, or was it the Elevate with Jerry and Michael?
I think it was at Elevate with Jerry and Michael in Lancaster. Yeah.
Yep.
And then from there, we just have stayed in contact and stuff, and we see each other at different meetups.
Absolutely.
Which has been good. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your background, and what do you do other than real estate before we get to today's topic.
Yeah, so my name's Kyle Wenger. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Lebanon County, Myerstown specifically. Myerstown's a small little municipality, I guess, on the east end of Lebanon County. I'm born and raised here. Besides, I think I moved to a suburb of Philly for 11 months after college. Realized I'm not a city person, and ended up moving back home to Myerstown and bought a house. And that's kind of where my real estate journey started. I believe I was 24 when I bought the house, and moved in, started fixing it up. Kind of fell in love with that whole process, but we'll get into that a little deeper. As far as other things I like to do, I still have a full-time job. So I do user experience design for a software company. So that's my day job, and then the real estate is balanced evenings, weekends, whenever I can find time, trying to build up that business. And that's truly a passion of mine. So
it's good.
It's a little about me. Just hanging out with friends, working out, craft beer, and learning more about real estate and putting deals together is what I like to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. So 24 years old when you bought your first investment. I was 24 also. What was that like for you?
So I moved to this after college. I moved to a suburb called Manayunk, and I rented a house with 3 other roommates. And I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I always had it in the back of my mind, I want to buy a house. It's kind of what I was taught growing up. Like, the American dream is, you get a job and you buy a house and all that. And so like, I basically did all that. And I found this for sale by owner house, went and walked through it. And at that time, like the HGTV Fixer Upper show with Chip and Joanna was like really popular. So I'm sitting there watching with my parents. I was like, oh, this looks like a fun little concept. But quickly realized it's nothing like the HGTV show. So I ended up buying this house for sale by owner. I had a bunch of money saved up from, working for a couple years, and I dumped it all into this house, and I realized like, wow, that depleted like my whole life savings in the house. Now I'm paying every month, paying the taxes, insurance, all the utilities, the mortgage payment. I'm just like, is this what living is? Like paying the mortgage and paying your bills? Like I need to find
you live to pay bills.
Yeah, like I need to find a hobby. I need to find a passion. And I started researching like what wealthy people did. Like how do people have money and assets and wealth? And I came across a Bigger Pockets website. I literally would fall asleep listening to the podcasts. I'd be in the forums until I'd fall asleep. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which
great book. Yeah.
And I started learning just assets and liabilities and why they don't teach you that stuff in everyday education. I don't know, but it should be taught. So I was kind of a late starter. I mean, at 24, I thought I was a late starter, but something I could have learned when I was 15. Like I could have been buying houses at 15 theoretically if I knew the process.
Yeah.
So bought the house, and then realized I need to find a way to make more money, and real estate kind of became that vehicle after I educated myself. And I learned about meetups. I think I met Chad at the first one in Lebanon at the college I went to at LVC. And from there, I met a woman named April Crosley, who changed, the course of my life to early on. That got me thinking about, this is possible and how to find deals, and kind of just evolved from there. And here we are 4 years later.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like you're going to be stopping anytime soon.
I don't have any plans to. It's a fun, I guess, passion project for now, but I'd like to see it become a full-time investor at some point. The goal, build a business and build generational wealth is what I call it, is kind of my long-term vision for all this.
That's good. And will you say you have like a timeline for that, or is like that's the end goal? Whenever you get there,
sooner the better. But I'm not just going out and buying deals just because it looks like I'm kind of strategic in the way I'm going about this. Where I don't, I still have a full-time job. It's still a good job, and I don't want to put too much on my plate. So it's slow and steady wins the race, I think.
Yeah. And there are also different factors you got to consider when you're thinking about a goal like that too. Like you could use the leverage of a W-2 job to continue to invest in real estate and not have the pressure of like, it's all on the table. It's all on the line.
Right.
Yeah. So that's good. Thanks for sharing. I feel like what got me interested in real estate is just watching those different shows here and there. But then connecting with people that are actually doing it, that would be transparent and really show you what's happening and how to evaluate different deals and all the stuff that they don't show you on HGTV. Right.
And one thing, like going back to that, like it looks great on TV, but like you said, they leave a bunch of the details out, and it's hard you have to have a willingness and make the choice in your mind to want to go and learn it. Does that make sense? Like you can go to these meetups and you can sit there, but if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to have a clue what these people are talking about. So you have to do a little bit of legwork on your own, educate yourself, what a deal is and how to get bank financing, what the bank looks for and your credit. And there's a lot of stuff involved, but you have to dive in and do it at some point. And that's kind of what I did. I didn't really know what I was getting into. You figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah. And having the knowledge and the action to complement that.
Action's is huge. Yeah. Action's the biggest piece of this whole puzzle.
Yeah. And I the way I see things is that I don't see things as a failure. I see them as like learning lessons.
Absolutely.
And there are so many roller coasters. Okay. Yeah. There are so many roller coasters that you can go through as a real estate investor that if you don't see the bigger picture, I feel like you can get so caught up in the stuff.
It's definitely a long game. The flipping is, flipping might be short term, but that's not what I see myself doing for the rest of my life. Flipping is kind of like the vehicle to get me to the next step.
Yeah. So what is, since I have so many different viewers, what would you say is flipping? What does it mean to flip a house?
Flipping is, so you buy a distressed house, a distressed situation, most times, it doesn't always have to be, and you buy it for under market value. You increase the value by making repairs, new flooring, paint, roof, mechanicals, and then you increase what they call is the after repair value, or the value of the home, to get to the market value. And then you basically buy it for this, rehab it for this, and you'll make that profit after it's sold, after realtor fees and seller's assistance, all the holding costs. So that's flipping. There's also flipping as in you can flip a contract, as in wholesaling. I can say I'm buying 123 Main Street from Larry, and I'm going to turn around and sell it to Justin and make the spread on what that contract says. So that's one other way to do it. I don't do a whole lot of that. I usually take the property down, buy it, rehab it, and then list it for retail value with my realtor.
Yeah, that's good. So you will buy them yourself. You work independently. And
Yeah,
then you
so
have
I
a
would
realtor that will
I
list.
would work to find the deal through my own marketing, which I'm sure we might get into a little bit. Yeah, mainly all off-market deals. The stuff that's on the MLS, the multi-list system, it's competitive. Everyone can see all those houses, so therefore you're bidding against everyone else. So I do my own personal marketing to find off-market deals where I'm buying it privately from the seller. Usually get a better price that way, and then I fund it using what they call private money, other people's money, and I basically give them a piece of the deal. I give them a return on their money, whether it's through interest or points or both,
Gotcha.
and they're kind of like a silent partner in the deal. And then when I sell it or refinance it, the lender will get paid off, and they'll get paid back in full. And then I have a team of contractors that I've been using now for the last couple of years. And then when I list it with a realtor, I've been using the same guy. So it's been working out pretty well for the last, I'd say 3 years.
That's good. That's good. And some people don't realize too that when they invest in real estate as a silent partner or private money lender, is that real estate is one of the few investments where, or I guess the only investment where your investment is real estate backed. Yep. So you basically become the bank, and you get first lien on the property.
Yeah, they have security. Yep.
They have security. Yeah. Have you found that people are receptive and knowledgeable about real estate because of all these shows that we see and all the courses that are out there based on your experience?
I feel like at least my following really latches. They like the stuff that I do. I post on Instagram and Facebook, and I show like behind the scenes stuff, and I try and show stuff that you might not normally get to see from the real, like, a lot more goes into it than just buying it, fixing up and selling it. There's a whole process that could be 4 months, 6 months, depending on the extent of the rehab, and then stuff never goes right. Most times never goes right or to plan. Something always comes up. There's a budget you have to follow. There's timelines. There's costs with all that. And so I try and be a little informative, but part of my brand of Revital Home Company is, I guess I'll get into that now, is Revital Home Company is my flipping business. And the thought process behind Revital is basically change the mindset and the culture and the perspective of the community I live in, which is Lebanon County, revitalize the area.
That's a great name.
So I try and push that with branding, and I try and make my flips maybe a little different than what some other people do, a little more creative, a little more styled. Try and use local people, local contractors, local materials, whether it be reclaimed wood or fabricators or whoever, staging people, and really just market this thought of, look what Lebanon can become, or Lebanon County, or and this row home in the city can be beautiful. And I also think the positive change in people's lives starts in the home, in the household. And what better way to create change than a beautiful place to live. So I believe that you can do a lot of good in real estate, and that's that's part of the business model of mine. It's not just from the financial part of it, but it is to change people's lives through quality housing.
That's awesome. And you're improving the quality of that community or that block, or one house at a time. Right. And then that also attracts other people. So like say I buy this for this price and I sell it for way more than anything sold on that street. Well, that now increases all the neighbors' properties, and it allows other real estate, people like me to come in and fix up. There's a proven comp in the area that they might be able to, pay 10 grand more for this one, but still be able to make a profit. And it's kind of neat to see, because there's some people in Lebanon that were all kind of in this little block in this neighborhood, and values have gone up there in the last, I'd say, 12 to 14 months. It's been kind of fun to see and exciting. Yeah, same in the Reading market. There have been some properties here that have hit the 100,000 mark. They're above 2,000 square feet or so. Here we're also, it just seems like a lot of people from New York and New Jersey they're kind of escaping the large cities and moving to smaller cities, or
And just like when you go and flip a house and you make it, basically all brand new, down to the mechanicals, to the windows, to the flooring, it really sticks out compared to a lot of other houses on the market. Because you look on the market, and besides new construction, not every house is flipped. A lot of them outdated and need some work. And so when you go and make it beautiful, people are like, wow, like wow, like, so that's the fulfilling part for me. And that's what I enjoy, seeing it go from basically crap hole to something nice that you can be proud of.
Yeah. Do you know or can think of any tangible things that have made your houses unique in comparison to like others, like granite countertops or
so I'm going to shout out. So I use a local, they're out of Lancaster. They go by Old Growth Company. They make custom bathroom vanities, open shelves, dining room tables, all this woodworking type stuff that I try and throw in there. It's something custom that you don't buy from Home Depot. It's just, I've been using these. So like the last house, we took some studs that were going to basically get tossed, and even to my buddy, and he made them into a bathroom vanity. And then people were like, wow, like, where's that? Where'd you buy that? And I was like, oh, this is custom. But, and then I have a buddy who does fabrication. He could do like the metal open shelving, or I had him build a bathroom vanity for me before. Then I have another guy who does like house numbers on the outside of the house that he can fabricate and laser cut.
Oh, okay.
Just little stuff that throws off, but it's all local people. Then I tag them in an Instagram post like, hey, like so and so did this, check them out, and just trying to build small business, support small business.
That's good. Do you feel like you showcase most of your work on Instagram or Facebook?
I think I could always do better at it. There's like a point where it's like, how much is posting too much? How much do you want to share? Or people are gonna get sick of seeing the same thing all the time? So, but I think I can improve on it, be more consistent. Sometimes I can kind of forget about it, but like right now I don't have a project I'm working on. I don't have a house I'm working on right now. I'm in between selling one and buying one. So my content has been like, I haven't posted in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it take a while for you to put that crew together that you have, and how did you go about that?
I would say that besides finding the deal, the second hardest part is managing contractors and finding ones that you trust and actually enjoy working with. That's half the battle. If you're going to be like hiring people to do work on your property, you want to get along with them. There's nothing worse than going to a job site and like someone's grumpy, or they misread what you're trying to do, or they screw it up and you have to tell them if they're wrong. So I've been able to find a good crew of guys that I've been trying to use, pretty religiously now for all my projects, because we work really well together. I like working with them. I think they like working with me. They have an idea of kind of like my look and feel of what I'm trying to accomplish. And but it didn't start like that. I mean, it took quite a few contractors to figure it out, quite a few mistakes. But communication is the biggest thing I've learned, and then trust. But you don't just build that from day one. A contractor's not going to trust you. Like if it's the first time working with you, he might be like, is this guy going to pay me? So that's one thing I probably is like, I'm going to pay them when they want to be paid, once the work is completed, obviously. But I'm pretty fair when it comes to that. I think I take care of my guys and responsive to their needs, and they're responsive to my needs. But it's something you have to build on always.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said, that trust doesn't happen overnight. And we see that with everything that we do at the field. It's
not just contractors, it's lenders, it's sellers, building rapport with the sellers, title companies, your realtor. It's, you have to treat people with respect and hope you get it in return. But it's constantly a work in progress.
Yes. How would you say has been your view in things like, have you, when you started the flipping, did you decide you wanted to do that for several years and see where it ends? Or you're just...
I think I saw there's a little niche of an opportunity to create nice housing. I think there's a demand for it in the area. Not many people are doing it. There's half a dozen or so people doing it to really good quality. Yeah. And then you have some people that might just might not be from the area that come in and do it, and that's good too. But I guess I'm always going to have a passion for flipping houses because I like the whole design aspect. I like the negotiating aspect. I like the before after aspect. But my goal is to really, one, create beautiful housing, two, be able to stack cash to therefore go and buy more rental properties. And I think that's where you actually build the generational wealth, is through the passive income of the rental properties. So continue to build that portfolio, but use the house flipping as the vehicle to get me there. But the thing with flipping houses, it's people are going to say this, but it's a job. Once you buy it, fix it up, and sell it, you have to start all over again. Whereas with a rental, normally a tenant staying there for a year, or in some cases 20 years. And that check's coming in most times every month, where the flip, it's a lot of money out, wait a few months, get it back, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan. Yeah, I like John's comment. Always rehab a house as if you're going to live there. That's true.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Sometimes you have to be careful though, because you don't overdo it. Because I always want stuff to be really nice, and sometimes I overdo it for the market or for the area. Other people might think that, but I'm like John just said, make it so you want to live there. Yeah. Sometimes you go over budget doing that.
Yeah, that's a good thing too, to consider. How do you feel like you have been able to manage your time you're dealing with so many groups of people and so many different fields, and how do you go about keeping everybody on the same page even?
I learned pretty quickly how to delegate. I don't do any of the construction. I might do some demo and I might do some paint. If it comes down to it, but I'd prefer to have all the construction guys do what they're good at. And I learned what I'm good at is finding the deal and designing it how I want it, and knowing what the value is going to be and what the budget's going to be, and let everyone else do the rest. So I still go to the property several times a week, if not every day, depending where it's located. And because I just like to see the progress, one, to document it, two, to see, make sure we're on schedule, three, to check out the quality of the work. But like I said, I found the team that, they do a great job. So I'm not really worried about it. I don't have to go to the job site every day, but I like it. Yeah,
that's good. And like that, you're able to free up your time to be able to find more deals.
Exactly right. If I'm there working on it all the time, I might not find another deal for months. Whereas once I have one going, it's like you're constantly looking for more deals, because you don't always need to flip it. Like the next deal could come along where you can still make a little bit of a profit by selling it to someone else, another investor. You don't have to do the work. So there's always, you shouldn't turn off the marketing.
As a wholesale, you mean?
Yeah, as a wholesale.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So there's always opportunity. There's always deals out there.
Yeah. And people are always going to be needing a place to live at. And if they don't want to deal with any of the repairs, they just want to move in and have the house ready. There's always going to be a demand for that, I feel like. And there's even some houses that I come across where it doesn't take a full, not every house needs to be fixed up to be fixer-upper-ish. HGTV style. You can go and just put carpet and paint, and everything else might be fine. I mean, they call that, light rehab, or a wholesale. We're basically getting retail value, but you're not really holding on to it too long, kind of wholesaling and retailing it. So I've done that a couple of times, and it's worked out sometimes better than fixing it up and flipping it, and spending all that money on the rehab. So you have to know the market. You have to know what stuff's trading for, what you can and can't do, and you only really learn that by doing it and messing up one or two times. Yes, absolutely. And there are also so many resources out there that if you don't know one particular area, you can find resources, YouTube videos, or research.
Even just all these, these Facebook groups in Central PA and meetups. My knowledge has grown tenfold since I started for it. It's almost unbelievable, the stuff I know now that I didn't have a clue. I didn't even think of back then. And I'm just excited to see what else I'm going to learn, because every day is a new chance to learn something new. You don't ever know everything. I know I sure as heck don't.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, and it's also now like we need to implement all of those things that we learn. Either that can just drive us crazy. But being able to learn and focus on one thing to do it well,
Yep.
then if something comes up where you need that other skill, you have
Yeah,
it.
you always
It's an
ask someone
emergency.
else, hey, yeah, you
Yeah.
you network and find out who has
Hmm.
a skill you need and how can you exchange value with that person. And I've
Yes,
learned more people are willing to help than if they don't ever know there's a problem, they can't help you. So if you have an issue, you have
that's
to
so
ask for
true.
help.
That is so true. Yeah, that's good. Let me see if there are any questions here. Uh, okay, no. Yeah. So what advice will you have for new investors that they see the HGTV, they see us in real estate, you as a flipper, me as a buy and hold investor and wholesaler, like what are some things that you will recommend to someone that doesn't have any knowledge at all or wants to learn about real estate?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing is one, committing yourself and making the decision that this is something you actually want to do and learn. I get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that like reach out on Instagram or Facebook and they're like, hey, can you show me how to do this? But you can tell right off the bat they're not fully committed to wanting to. They won't meet you there on a Saturday at 8 a.m. or
Mm-hmm.
they're just not. So I'd say one, you have to be committed. Two, you have to find a mentor and provide value to that mentor, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
you go driving with them and you write down addresses while I'm driving, you write down addresses of ugly houses,
Mm-hmm.
or you bring a deal to me. Or another thing is you have to know what a deal looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Every market's different. A house that sells for 40,000 on this street might only be 20,000 on the street over. You have to know the market and what
Mm-hmm.
stuff's trading for, and then you know figure out how to analyze and learn how to analyze those deals that it's actually appealing to an investor or a guy like me that would want to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just say, oh, this house is overgrown with weeds, but they don't look and see that the house just sold last year for market value and
Mm-hmm.
it's not really going to be a deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not every ugly house you come across is going to be a deal. So it's
Mm-hmm.
learning what a deal looks like, how to analyze it, and how to provide value to someone that's in the business that you want to get to. Then
Mm-hmm.
really just pick out 4 or 5 people that you can follow on Instagram or Facebook and see what they post and learn from them. I mean, I learned so
Mm-hmm.
much on just YouTube. Like
Same.
Bigger Pockets podcast, like is a life changer. There's over 300 episodes, I think, and they interview awesome candidates,
Mm-hmm.
awesome people, awesome investors from all over the country.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say one, you have to decide that's something you want to do. Like, it's hard to put one foot in this business and still be successful. Like, you have to make the choice and jump off the cliff and decide it's something you want to do, or
Mm-hmm.
else you're not gonna have any other experience. You only get experience really by doing it, like buying your first
Yeah.
property and learning
Yeah.
that, like, what a lease looks like, or how to manage contractors, or what stuff
Mm-hmm.
cost.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way you learn is by doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
educate yourself first. Follow someone around,
That's good.
ask a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
questions, join the Facebook groups, watch YouTube, drive
Mm-hmm.
around looking for deals, and that's where I would start.
Yeah. And there are ways in real estate too that people can invest if they have a lot of time but no money, or they have funds but they don't have the time. You can structure it in so many different ways,
Yeah,
where it
I mean,
could
you can go
work out for everybody.
from really like living on a street to finding like 2 houses that you end up wholesaling to a flipper, and you could you can roll that money back into more marketing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to have a lot of money to start this business. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a whole bunch of money when I started. I just educated myself on what a deal looked like, and then found someone who was willing to lend me the money on what I thought was a deal. And then
Mm-hmm.
it all worked out. And then it kind of, once you do one, you get some confidence and build
Yeah,
relationships, and it just keeps going. But you have to start at some point.
absolutely. Yeah. What would you say have been some of the rates that some lenders that you have come across offer?
Say that again.
What have been some rates or ranges of rates that some lenders that you have worked with in the past or know have offer?
As far as like private money
Private.
or like bank financing, anywhere
Because
from
some
like,
people, I feel like some people don't also know that they can invest in real estate, and not and get a higher return than what they're getting
yeah.
if they
So
were to invest in a CD.
I've borrowed money anywhere from, you know, paying someone 6% interest only up until like my first deal, I paid someone 12% interest only, and I had to pay them for 6 months. Like that was part of the deal, whether I went and refinanced within 3 months or whatever. But they were set to get that 6 or that 12% over that 6 months.
Yeah.
Most times it's annualized, but some lenders have points or they take on like back end fees. But there's ways to get creative. I mean, it's real estate. You can, you know, make a good return if you have some money sitting around and in a self-directed IRA or a self-directed 401k or whatever. There's opportunity out there, but I wouldn't say everyone's a good fit for that. You know, you have to have an existing relationship and go about it the right way and build that trust like we talked about. But
yes, and also know your risk tolerance too.
Absolutely.
That's another one too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. If anybody has any questions, you can write them there. We're going to be wrapping up soon. You can just comment them. Yeah, and we have a big announcement to make.
Yeah. You wanna cover it? You're gonna cover it?
I'm excited.
You announce it.
So Kyle and I are going to be partnering together to cover interviews like this, where we invite successful real estate investors from Pennsylvania or from
all over. Yeah, whoever we can connect with.
And we're really excited. We're both we're like-minded, have the same goals in mind, and we want to provide value to people and help others be successful in real estate. So if you guys want to stay up to date and learn about these interviews, make sure to follow me or Kyle. And we're going to be having these, hopefully these interviews once a month or so.
To start out, we're going to do once a month, but we'll build that up hopefully to be consistent. Yeah.
And it's still all in the work in progress. So we don't even have a name for it.
If you have a good name idea for our new podcast, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear. We have some, but we're not set on one yet.
Yes, or feel free to send it to us via private message. We would love to hear from you and get some ideas. Yeah, like that we're able to continue to provide value for people. Yeah. So for August, we're gonna have a commercial real estate investor named Tim Bratz. Tim is a phenomenal investor with a ton of knowledge.
Yep. And he's not very old either. He's a little older than us. What's he?
Yeah, like 35.
In his 30s, yeah.
35, and he owns around 3,500 or so many units, and he's gone through the different niches, different areas of real estate, and has decided to focus on commercial real estate. And he has some golden nuggets that he's going to be sharing with everyone. So I hope you could all join us for that. Yeah. So what are some ways, Kyle, that people could stay in contact with you? I know you mentioned some of them, but just in case anyone join us later.
You can find me on Facebook. Just search my name, Kyle Wenger, or my business account on Instagram is @RevitalHomeCo. And the same at Facebook, just search Revital Home Company or Revital Home Co. And you can keep up to date with my projects. So I'm trying to get better at, being a little more consistent there. But once I have projects in the pipeline, it's content kind of happens automatically. So I'll post more. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on here.
Hopefully it was great having you.
Hopefully they tune in for our next one.
Yes. Yes. And you guys can also follow me, Luis Vanderhorst, on Facebook or LinkedIn, and also my business page, Restorative Housing, if you want to stay up to date. So awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you for your time and you
Absolutely.
sharing your story.
Hey, thanks
awesome.
for having me. Awesome.
No problem. All right, take care.
Yep, you too, man. See ya.
See ya.